Is it possible that a modern nation, equipped with ministries, diplomats, and a complex national image strategy, could indirectly hand over its public face to a single individual, a pop singer, without realizing that the world is witnessing a shift in the meaning of global power? The question sounds exaggerated, even provocative. Yet that is precisely where the unease lies. Because at this point, the name Jungkook is no longer mentioned merely in lists of musical achievements. It has begun to appear in state documents, cross-continental surveys, and global perception maps usually occupied only by politicians, legendary athletes, or historical figures. And when these facts are arranged sequentially, one by one, an unavoidable sensation emerges. This is too big to be dismissed as coincidence. When South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism released the report 2025 Republic of Korea National Image, the international public may have assumed it was merely a routine annual exercise, a compilation of soft data on how Korea is viewed by the world. Yet embedded within it was an anomaly that quickly sparked serious discussion. Jungkook, a BTS member who is officially on hiatus due to mandatory military service, appeared as a figure with a positive influence on Korea's national image, ranking 6th overall and first among solo singers. He stood alongside, and even surpassed, figures long assumed to be more relevant in cultural diplomacy. The question was no longer whether Jungkook was popular, but since when a K-pop soloist had been able to penetrate a symbolic domain traditionally guarded by the state. The survey itself was not conducted casually. It spanned 25 countries and involved respondents across ages, cultures, and backgrounds, ranging from entertainers to athletes and politicians. Within a landscape that broad, Jungkook appeared in 13 countries with rankings that could not be dismissed as accidental. He placed 4th in Russia, 5th in Brazil and Malaysia, 6th in Egypt, 7th in India and Mexico, 8th in Italy, Kazakhstan, Spain, and the United Arab Emirates, 9th in Argentina, and 10th in the United States and Indonesia. Each number carries its own meaning, but when viewed together, they form a more unsettling pattern. Jungkook is not merely known, he is chosen. And the world is not choosing him as an idol, but as a representative. The picture becomes even more striking when age data are examined. Jungkook's influence is strongest among teenagers, a group historically recognized as the battleground for future ideologies. The figure reaches 6.7%, followed by those in their 20s at 4.6% and 30s at 1.7%. This is not simply demographic statistics. It is a psychological map of who will carry Korea's image into the future. Put more plainly, Jungkook is not only shaping how the world views Korea today, but how the next generation will remember it. And at this point, the question begins to shift into a deeper suspicion. Who is actually controlling this narrative? If these achievements stood alone, the public might accept them as a rare cultural phenomenon. But the story does not stop at the level of the state. At nearly the same time, Jungkook also recorded an undeniable dominance on global streaming platforms. His solo track Hate You from the album Golden, released in November 2023, surpassed 200 million streams on Spotify without the support of an official music video. Without a major visual campaign, without aggressively engineered viral gimmicks, the song moved at a speed usually reserved for releases backed by massive promotional machinery. With this milestone, the number of Jungkook songs exceeding 200 million streams reached 13, an amount that, for many global artists, still sounds like a lifetime goal. The list of those songs reads like a catalog of personal dominance. 11 tracks come from Jungkook's solo account, 7, Standing Next to You, Left and Right, 3D, Dreamers, Stay Alive, Still With You, Yes or No, Never Let Go, Please Don't Change, and Hate You. 2 others, Euphoria and My Time, come from BTS albums, underscoring that even within a group format, his individual imprint was already firmly embedded. Yet what is most unsettling is not the quantity but the consistency. These songs do not spike and disappear. They endure, settle in, and continue to be consumed across time and regions. This is not a fleeting explosion, it is an occupation. When Billboard Korea selected Hate You as the first song in its playlist MZ K-pop breakup song recommendation, the symbolic message was nearly undeniable. Jungkook is not merely a singer, He has become the emotional language of the MZ generation. The song is positioned as a representation of young people's heartbreak, a status usually granted only to works capable of transcending language and cultural context. At this point, Jungkook no longer stands as a product of an industry, but as a medium of collective experience. And when a figure reaches that stage, he ceases to belong to a single company or a single fandom. History went even further when Jungkook became the first Asian solo artist to have 3 songs surpass 1 billion streams on Spotify: 7, Standing Next to You, and Left and Right. In the logic of the global music industry, 1 billion streams is not merely a popularity milestone. It is proof of cross-cultural penetration that is nearly impossible to achieve without an exceptionally powerful support system. But what system is that? Is this purely the result of global public preference, or is there a strategic architecture operating behind the scenes? It is here that the shadow of Bang Si-hyuk begins to be felt, even if his name is not always mentioned explicitly. As the central figure behind the formation of BTS and the global expansion of HYB, Bang Si-hyuk is known not only as a producer, but as an ecosystem architect. He is often praised as someone who understands how music, technology, and narrative can merge into a global force. But with Jungkook now standing simultaneously as a state-recognized figure and a ruler of the world's charts, previously uncomfortable questions become unavoidable. Is this the culmination of a long-term plan laid out from the beginning, or an outcome that has exceeded even its creator's control? Interestingly, news of these achievements first spread not through official government statements or major corporate press releases, but through fans on the platform X, one of them the account at Ellie_Kook, who shared screenshots of an article from the viewer's website and invited public support. This small detail adds another layer to the paradox. On one hand, Jungkook is acknowledged by the state and the global industry. On the other, the dissemination of information is still driven by a militant, organic fandom base. A rare combination of institutional legitimacy and grassroots energy in the history of popular culture. When BTS as a group entered a hiatus due to military obligations, many predicted a vacuum of influence. What happened instead was the opposite. Jungkook emerged as a figure who not only kept the Hallyu flame alive, but expanded it into territories previously unreachable. He became proof that the power of a group does not necessarily collapse when one member stands alone. It can instead transform into something more focused and, ironically, more symbolically dangerous. At this point, the simple narrative of proud achievements no longer feels sufficient. Too many clues point toward a conclusion that has not yet been openly spoken. When an artist can dominate global charts while simultaneously being recognized as a figure shaping national image, we are no longer talking about music alone. We are witnessing a shift in how cultural power operates. And behind all of it, one question continues to echo, growing louder, harder to ignore. If Jungkook is the result, then what exactly did Bang Si-hyuk plan from the very beginning? If Jungkook is the face the world sees, then Bang Si-hyuk is the invisible hand that understood from the very beginning how that face would function before history. Bang Si-hyuk's name rarely appears in ministry reports, streaming charts, or Spotify rankings. Yet that is precisely where his power lies. In the modern creative industry, the greatest influence often does not come from those who appear most frequently, but from those who design the stage, determine the angle of the lights, and decide when the curtain is raised or lowered. And the more data surrounding Jungkook is gathered, the clearer it becomes that his achievements are not the result of a single decision, but the accumulation of an extraordinarily precise long-term design. From the outset, Bang Si-hyuk never positioned BTS merely as a music group. He built them as a narrative system, an emotional ecosystem that allowed each member to possess a strong individual identity without losing collective cohesion. Yet Jungkook was always an anomaly within that system. He was introduced not as the center, but as the foundation. Not as the most vocal figure in public discourse, but as a symbol of capability. In many early interviews, Bang Si-hyuk often emphasized the importance of musical honesty and cross-cultural emotional connection. Statements that once sounded idealistic now feel like a blueprint being fully realized through Jungkook. When Jungkook's solo era began, there was no aggressive attempt to sever him from BTS's identity. Instead, what occurred was an almost organic process of separation. Jungkook was not marketed as a former group member, but as a logical continuation of a musical journey already familiar to the global public. This is a strategic move that rarely succeeds. Many artists fail when trying to stand alone because they lose their context. Jungkook, on the other hand, used that context as a foundation and then transcended it. At this point, it is difficult not to see the hand of a designer who understands global audience psychology with near-academic precision. The album Golden stands as the clearest example of this approach. Released in November 2023, the album was not framed as a revolutionary statement that cut ties with the past, but as a personal exploration that remained accessible to new listeners. Songs like 7 and Standing Next to You do not force audiences to understand BTS's history first. They stand on their own, yet still carry familiar emotional traces. This is not artistic coincidence. It is the result of a deep understanding of how global pop music functions in the algorithmic era, where a song must be universal enough for wide acceptance, yet personal enough to build long-term loyalty. Jungkook's dominance on Spotify further strengthens the suspicion that this is not merely luck. 3 songs surpassing 1 billion streams is not an achievement that can be explained solely by fandom popularity. Those numbers indicate stable rotation, cross-regional consumption, and sustained acceptance by casual listeners. This means Jungkook's music has moved beyond the stage of being merely supported and entered the stage of being needed. In this context, Bang Si-hyuk appears as someone who understood from the start that the ultimate goal was not charts, but enduring cultural relevance. What is most unsettling, however, is when these industrial achievements begin to intersect with state recognition. The report 2025 Republic of Korea National Image was not compiled by fans or entertainment companies. It is an official document reflecting how Korea seeks to understand its position in the world. When Jungkook appears in it as a figure of positive influence, it means the state is implicitly acknowledging the role of the entertainment industry as an instrument of soft power. And behind that industry, Bang Si-hyuk stands as one of its principal architects. The question is no longer whether he planned this, but how far he anticipated its impact. It is also notable that Jungkook is most influential among teenagers and young adults. This age group has historically been the primary target of global soft power strategies, from Hollywood films to Japanese pop culture in earlier eras. With Jungkook, South Korea appears to have found a figure capable of speaking directly to this generation without the need for complex ideological translation. Music becomes the language, emotion becomes the medium, and national identity is subtly woven into it. In this context, Bang Si-hyuk appears as a designer who understands that the most effective influence is the kind that does not feel like propaganda. Yet every grand design carries risks. When an artist becomes too large, they can surpass the structure that created them. Jungkook now stands at that point. He no longer represents only HYBE or BTS, but the global perception of Korea itself. This symbolic burden is immense, and history shows that figures of this kind often face inhuman expectations. Did Bang Si-hyuk account for this possibility? Or does he believe the system he built is flexible enough to bear that weight? What further complicates the situation is the fact that all of this is happening while BTS as a group is in a period of hiatus. In conventional industry logic, a hiatus is a pause, even a setback. In this case, however, the hiatus becomes a dramatic backdrop that strengthens Jungkook's individual narrative. He appears not as a replacement for the group, but as a guardian of continuity. This is an extraordinarily difficult role to play, and its success raises an uncomfortable strategic question. Was the future of BTS designed to be modular, where each member could become a center of gravity without collapsing the entire system? Here, Bang Si-hyuk once again emerges as a key figure. As someone who has long spoken about sustainability and structure, he may view the future of K-pop not as a rapid cycle of short-lived groups, but as a network of individuals who reinforce one another. Jungkook, in this scheme, is not an anomaly, but a prototype, a model of how an artist can function simultaneously as a cultural icon, an industrial asset, and a national symbol. And if this is true, then what we are witnessing now may only be the beginning. When fans in Indonesia, one of the largest army bases in the world, continue to push legal streaming and positive promotion, they may not realize that they are participating in something larger than mere fandom support. They become part of a global mechanism that links personal emotion with national image. This is not an accusation, but an observation of how pop culture operates in the modern era. And at the center of that mechanism, Jungkook stands as the point of convergence between public will and industrial design, and the end, this offers no final answers. Instead, it deepens the mystery. The clearer Bang Si-hyuk's role becomes in building the ecosystem that enabled Jungkook to reach this point, the greater the questions about its long-term consequences. Is the world witnessing the peak of the most successful entertainment strategy in Korean history, or the beginning of a new phase in which the boundaries between artist, state, and cultural power grow increasingly blurred? The answer has yet to be revealed. But one thing is certain: what was planned, or perhaps not entirely planned, has now moved far beyond the studio and the music charts, entering a realm that is far broader and far more symbolically dangerous. In the end, the world has begun to realize that what is unfolding is not merely the success story of a talented singer. Jungkook has moved beyond the boundary that has long separated entertainment from state influence. He appears on global charts, but also in official government reports. He is played through teenagers' headphones, yet also read about by policymakers. And at this point, a question that once felt speculative has transformed into a collective unease. Are we witnessing the birth of a new form of cultural power? Bang Si-hyuk's silence only amplifies that question. He neither denies nor claims it, nor does he celebrate it excessively, as if he understands that the most powerful designs are those that function without needing to be explained. If Jungkook has now become a global symbol of Korea, then it is proof that music can be the most effective form of diplomacy, without speeches, without treaties, without flags being explicitly raised. What is certain is that the world is no longer asking whether Jungkook is influential. The world is now asking something deeper, further, and perhaps more dangerous. Who will be created next by the same system? And if Jungkook is today's answer, then what exactly did Bang Si-hyuk see about the future from the very beginning?